Far from Home. Written by Gabriel Ndayishimiye. Preface. I didn't set out to write this. It wasn't some grand idea or a story I wanted to tell. It was just something I couldn't keep quiet anymore. The words came because they had to, because the silence was choking me, and I needed to bleed it out somewhere. You can only hold on to that much hurt for so long before it starts eating you from the inside. People like stories about survivors. They want to hear how you made it through the fire and came out better on the other side. They want to believe suffering makes you strong or noble or wise. They want to believe you've got something important to say after all that. But it doesn't work like that. Most of the time it just leaves you tired and hollow and too stubborn to lie down. What you'll find here isn't noble. It's not clean or hopeful or full of lessons. It's just the truth as I know it, rough, ugly, and unadorned. It's about what's left after the world's done taking everything from you. It's not about redemption. It's not about peace. It's just about staying upright when the ground keeps shifting under your feet. If you're looking for a story that makes you feel good about surviving, put this down and find something else. I don't have that to give you. I only have the truth, the way it cut me and shaped me and left me here, stuck between nowhere and nothing. I can't dress it up or make it palatable. I can only tell it the way it sits in my gut, heavy and bitter. Maybe this will mean something to somebody. Maybe it won't. That's not why I'm writing it. I'm writing because it's the only way I know to keep from going under. The world moves on without you, and the people who once called you brave forget your name. You don't get to go back, and even if you did, it wouldn't feel the same. You just keep moving, keep writing, and hope it doesn't all slip away before you're done. I don't know how to make sense of exile. I don't know how to make it sound noble or brave. It's just living when everything familiar is gone and the world doesn't give a damn whether you're still standing. It's not a story of victory. It's just one of holding on. If that's not what you came for, close the book now. I'm not writing for you. I'm writing for the man I used to be and the ghost I became. I'm writing to remember what it felt like to be whole. I'm writing because it's the only thing that makes sense when nothing else does. So, here it is. Take it or leave it. Just don't call it brave. Don't call it anything. It's just words on a page, fighting to stay alive. You can leave a place behind, but it doesn't leave you. It lingers in the creases of your hands, in the way your voice still shapes old names when you're half asleep. You tell yourself it doesn't matter, that the world moves on whether you stay or go. You don't belong anywhere now, and you've made peace with that. Some nights, when the wind hits just right and the whiskey's warm in your veins, you almost convince yourself it was worth it, leaving before the rot set in, getting out before the walls came down. But that's a lie you tell when the guilt gets too loud. Truth is, it wasn't courage that made you leave. It was fear, plain and ugly. Fear of losing what little pride you had left. Fear of watching everything you built come crashing down around you. Fear that the words you fought so hard to keep honest would turn hollow if you stayed 1 minute longer. You didn't just walk out on a place, you walked out on a life. Now you haunt bars and back alleys like a ghost, moving through the world without touching it. Your name doesn't echo anywhere anymore, and that suits you fine. Fame was a weight around your neck, something to be shed before it drowned you. You didn't want to be remembered. You just wanted to breathe without feeling like you owed something to everyone who ever heard your name. They still talk about you, though. The ones who stayed behind. Some call you brave for walking away. Others say you're a coward, too scared to face the wreckage. You don't bother correcting them. They don't know the kind of tired that makes your bones ache. The kind that keeps your eyes fixed on the horizon because looking back would break you. You used to fight for truth, spit it out even when it tasted like blood. Now, you just sit in the shadows and let the world lie to itself. You're not bitter. Bitterness takes too much energy. You're just tired. Tired of pretending it all meant something. Tired of being brave when bravery never saved anyone worth saving. You're a man without a country. A man whose words don't carry weight anymore. You let them go because they were heavy, and you didn't have the strength to keep holding on. You don't look for redemption. You don't look for peace. You just keep breathing because it's the one thing you've got left that still feels like yours. And when the nights stretch long and the memories crawl out of their corners to wrap themselves around your throat, you let them. You let them squeeze until you're too numb to feel it. Until morning breaks and you pull yourself to your feet like it's just another day to survive. Because in the end, that's all there is. Just another day to outlast. Another mile to put between you and the man you used to be. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the face staring back. You used to be someone who mattered, someone people listened to. Now, you're just a man with tired eyes and a mouth that's forgotten how to smile. You're not bitter, not exactly. Bitterness takes too much energy. You're just used up, worn down. You tell yourself you're still fighting, that you're not giving up. But sometimes it feels like you're just marking time, waiting for the ground to swallow you. You don't tell anyone that, of course. You still put on the show, make your speeches, write your stories, let them call you brave. They think you're some kind of hero just for staying alive. But you know better. You know that surviving isn't the same as living. It's just breathing in and out and trying not to think too much. You keep your words simple because dressing them up feels like lying. You don't bother with metaphors or poetry anymore. You just tell it like it is. And if they don't like it, they can find someone else to listen to. When you talk to people, you keep it short. You don't explain yourself. You don't try to sound wise. You let them think what they want because you're too tired to argue. You've been through enough fights to know when to save your strength. You know that most of the time people don't really want the truth. They just want something that sounds good. You still get letters sometimes. Old friends telling you they remember how you used to be, asking if you're okay. You never answer. What's there to say? That you can't sleep without the window open because the air feels too close? That you can't look at old photos without feeling like you're looking at a stranger? That sometimes you wish you just kept your mouth shut and stayed where you belonged, even if it killed you? You don't say any of that. You just keep moving. You drink your coffee black because anything else tastes too sweet. You walk a lot, because it's better than sitting still. You write because that's the only way to bleed without making a mess. Some nights you sit in a bar with a whiskey in front of you and watch the way people talk like they've got it all figured out. You don't hate them for it. You just wonder how it feels to be that sure of anything. You used to be that way once. Thought you could change the world just by telling it the truth. Now you know better. Sometimes a kid will come up and tell you how much your words meant to them, how they gave them hope or made them see things differently. You nod and thank them, but inside you just feel tired. You didn't write to inspire anyone. You wrote because the words wouldn't let you be. You wrote because silence felt like surrender. You don't keep anything you don't need. A couple of books, a knife with a bone handle that fits just right in your hand, a watch that doesn't keep time anymore, but belonged to your father. Everything else you've let go because you learned not to hold on to things. They just get taken from you anyway. The truth is, you don't feel like a person most days, more like a ghost, moving through places that never quite feel real. You keep talking because the silence scares you. You keep walking because stopping means thinking. You keep drinking because it's better than feeling too much. And when you sit down to write, you don't worry about who will read it or what they'll think. You just put down the words and hope they don't betray you. You don't care if it makes sense or if it sounds brave. You just want it to be real, something that doesn't lie to you. Because in the end, all that's left is the truth. And that's the one thing you refuse to lose. You don't care if it's ugly or if it hurts. You don't care if it leaves you standing alone. You just want to look yourself in the mirror and know you didn't lie to yourself, even if the rest of the world wants you to. That's what keeps you going, just that stubborn, bitter need to keep telling it straight, even when no one wants to listen. You're not looking for redemption. You're not looking for peace. You're just trying to hold on to something real before it slips away. There are days when the loneliness creeps up on you like a stray dog looking for scraps. You try to ignore it, keep your head down, keep your hands busy, but it sits there watching you, waiting for you to slip up and let it in. You pour another drink and tell yourself you're just taking the edge off. You're not drinking because you're lonely. You're drinking because it's Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever the hell it is. Days don't matter much anymore. You don't miss people so much as you miss the way they made you feel, like you belonged somewhere, like your words didn't just vanish into thin air. You try not to think about the ones who didn't make it out, the ones who kept fighting and got buried for it, the ones who stayed behind and made a life out of the ashes. You wonder sometimes if they think about you, if they wonder why you left. But you don't dwell on it. It doesn't change anything. You keep telling yourself it's not about regret. You made your choices and you've got to live with them. But some nights, when it's quiet enough to hear your own breathing, you wonder if it was worth it, leaving everything behind to save your own skin. You tell yourself you had to do it, that staying would have been a slow death. But that doesn't stop the guilt from gnawing at you, slow and steady, like rust on iron. You've learned to live without much, just enough to get by. You don't let yourself get comfortable because comfort makes you weak. You don't make friends because losing them hurts too damn much. You've seen enough good people go down to know that getting close is a mistake. You don't build anything you can't carry. You don't say anything you can't take back. When you write, it's not for them. It's for you. It's to put the ache somewhere else for a while, to drain it out like poison so it doesn't kill you from the inside. You know nobody wants to read what you have to say because it's too bitter, too angry. People like stories that give them something to hold on to. They don't want to know how it really feels, like the ground's always shifting and nothing's ever solid. You remember how they used to call you brave, like speaking up made you a hero. You didn't feel like one then, and you sure as hell don't feel like one now. You were just loud and stubborn and too damn tired of staying quiet. Maybe that's why they pushed you out, because you wouldn't shut up when they needed silence. Maybe that's why you ran, because you knew you wouldn't survive if you stayed. You don't talk about the nightmares. They still come sometimes. Flashes of violence, faces you can't forget. You wake up sweating, staring at the cracked ceiling, and you remind yourself that you're alive, that you made it out. You tell yourself that surviving is enough, that some mornings it doesn't feel like it. Some mornings it feels like you left your soul back where it all fell apart and never found it again. When you walk through the city, you keep your head down. You don't look people in the eye. They don't know who you are, and that's how you like it. You move like a shadow between bars and cheap rooms and alleys that smell like piss and yesterday's rain. You've made peace with being invisible because it's safer that way. Nobody asks questions, and nobody expects answers. Sometimes you think about trying to write something different, something hopeful, something that doesn't taste like iron and regret. But the words don't come. You've seen too much, felt too much. You don't know how to dress it up anymore. You don't know how to pretend that it's going to get better. So you just keep writing it the way it is, rough and honest and bloody, because that's the only truth you've got left. You don't bother with redemption. You don't bother with making peace. You just keep moving, keep writing, keep fighting the quiet that wants to take you under. You hold on to the words because they're the last thing that still feels like yours. You don't know what you're hoping for. Maybe just to make it one more day without giving up. Maybe just to know that someone, somewhere, might read it and understand. But you don't count on it. You don't count on anything. You just keep breathing because that's what bodies do. And you keep writing because silence is the real killer. You don't worry about how it sounds or what it means. You just put it down and hope it sticks. You just tell it how it is, and that's enough. For now, it's enough. Gabriel Ndayishimiye, 2025.